Hi Stampers, welcome. Paper Pumpkin, Joy to the World, October 2020. So let's do a quick peek inside. I am Terry Hartley, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States at Rustic Barn Cards. Inside we have stamps. Like we have a wreath, to you and yours, sending, to the world, flower, joy, Merry Christmas, wishing you a very happy Christmas filled with fun and laughter. So it looks like some of those that we can kind of put together. Okay. Our ink spot is Just Jade, which is one of the end colors. And then Spread the Joy. So what's special about this month is 'tis a season for joy, and you can spread the holiday cheer all over the globe, because this kit in October is designed to help us connect with people around the world. So we'll have sentiments in English, French, and German. And there is a Facebook group, Joy of Paper Pumpkin, and you can connect with other Paper Pumpkin lovers internationally or even in the U.S. and exchange cards. So that's pretty neat. And then there's a translation on the back. So it'll show you in English and then what the word is in French and German for peace, joy, and love. So how great is that? I think that's pretty neat. All right, let's see what we have in here. Then I will get our pretty box out of the way, and we will open this up. Okay, I went ahead and opened everything up. Our direction sheet, there's always a direction sheet, and then inside it kind of gives you basic instructions. And so we have enough supplies for 8 cards, 4 of one design and 4 of another. And if you watched my channel before, you know that I will make one of each of these, and then I will show you some alternative cards that you can make using this kit. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe by clicking the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And I'm really glad for those of you that are returning to my channel and have already subscribed. Thank you. Also, if you turn this flyer over, it will tell you the supplies that you have in your kit and the coordinating Stampin' Up! Colors, although you can use others, but our Cherry Cobbler, Crumb Cake, Early Espresso, the Just Jade, which we have in our kit, and Soft Sea Foam. So we have our card bases, and they have some gold in the card bases. We have some larger labels and some smaller labels. We also have some baker's twine and some stitched labels. Aren't those pretty? And then we have some dies, some flowers and wreath, and then 2 sheets of these foil. We have 4 labels, and then peace and joy. And of course, we also have some of these words in other languages. So we have 3 sentiments, peace, joy, and love, and you'll have 2 of those in English, French, and German. And they send in the kit glue dots and also dimensionals. So we have everything that we need that you can make 8 cards. And what is really nice about the Paper Pumpkin kit is that you'll have the stamps that you can reuse, and you will have the ink that you can reuse. So let's go ahead and make 1 card of each design and some alternatives that I'll share with you. Okay, so I laid out what we're going to need for the first card, the card base, and you want it to open this way. So go ahead and fold that. You'll need 2 of the flower cutouts, the gold banner, the larger label and the kind of knitted label. You'll need dimensionals, the twine, some glue dots, and I am going to go ahead and use my own glue dots, and I'm going to go ahead and use the Just Jade in the larger rather than the ink spot. So the first thing I'm going to do is to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat and stamp Merry Christmas on the label. And I'm using this because I'm using the photopolymer stamp, and it works better. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up. We have Merry Christmas, and that is the only stamping I need to do. Now on the other card that we're going to be making, the second one, I do have a little tip for you on that. So move this out of the way, and then I think I forgot to show you, but the envelopes are gorgeous. They're just so pretty, and they have all of the joy, peace, and love in different languages inside the envelope. And I'm going to bring this paper back in because it has a little ruler, and we're going to use it to measure. So we need about 18 inches, which this is 9 across. So we'll just put that across, and we'll go ahead and snip that off. And then we're going to make a circle. So what I'm going to do is just get a hold of this and just kind of wrap it around my hand and kind of make it in a circle. We don't need this ruler anymore. Bring in our label that has a stitched, and then we are going to use a glue dot to keep this down. So, and this will be covered up by our sentiment. Okay, we'll lay that aside right now. And then bring in Merry Christmas, and I'm going to add some glue dots to the back of the Merry Christmas. It's easier to do it this way. I really couldn't do that on the twine, but I definitely can on this label. And I'm just going to put 3 on here. And I'm going to try to put those in the middle, because the reason is I'm going to go ahead and add this to the banner. That gold foil banner. Okay, and then I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to add some dimensionals. Actually, I'm going to wait. I am going to add dimensionals, but not on this yet. I want to put my flowers on. So I'm going to add dimensionals on, or actually, I don't need dimensionals. I need glue dots again. Okay, so I'm going to add glue dots on the front of the card, or the flowers rather. But I'm going to make sure that I do it at the side that does not have the leaves. So I think just a couple of those will work just fine. So I put the glue dots down here, and then I'm going to add that on our sentiment. And then again, the same thing. I'm going to add a couple of glue dots, and I'll show you in a second. So I put the glue dots down here because I want to make sure this shows, but I'm going to turn it this way. So we have the leaves and the flowers showing up above and down below. Now I'm going to turn it over and add dimensionals. Okay, and I'll take the backings off. And then I'm going to bring in our label with the circle. Kind of get that, because I want to make sure that it shows. But I also want that glue dot covered up, so I'm going to have that on the side here, because I know then it will be covered. Okay, so it looks like I need to make it maybe a little bit larger circle, so because we do want the twine to be able to show. I can get it to show up here. And let me see if I can get one of them down there. All right. Now let's try that. And I'm just going to I'm going to tuck that little piece in, because there we go. Okay, great. Now I'm going to turn that over and I'm going to add dimensionals again. It's going to put in each corner a dimensional. And I always like to put one on each corner, and I also like to put one in the middle so it just doesn't kind of sag in the middle. Those little tops of the dimensionals sometimes just want to stay around with you. And we'll bring in our card base, and as it shows in our directions, you're going to place it a little bit more to the left. So not in the center. It could be in the center here, but a little bit more to the left. And this is the first card, so it's fairly easy to do. The second card, there is a little trick to the second card, so I want to share that with you next. For the second card that we're going to need, we're going to fold our card base like this. And we will need the larger of the knitted label. And we use these two flowers on our last card. We're going to need the wreath. So we'll just punch out the wreath. There we go. Get rid of that. And then we're going to need the wreath stamp. So you just peel that back and you just peel these off. And then I'm going to place that on my stamp. Actually, I placed it on my block. And then I'm going to take a smaller block, and I have Joy to the World. I guess you can't see that, but let me do that again, and then I will just move. So I'm going to use my grid paper to lay the Joy to the World, and then take my stamp and then just pick it up. And then that way I have it straight. Okay, and then the other item that we need is the gold foil Joy. So I'll go ahead and tear that out gently. And I already took the little dot for the J, and I went ahead and put it on glue dot so I won't lose it. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I need a label for our Joy to the World. And I have it. Let me go back out so you can see. There we go. Okay. And again, I'm going to bring in a little mat so I can stamp and open up my Just Jade ink. And we're going to ink up Joy to the World. Okay. And we'll leave this out because we will need our ink for our wreath. So I'm going to lay this aside. I'll go ahead and cut my twine. Then I'll finish the stamping. So again, I need about 18 inches. So we can use that little ruler that's on your direction sheet if you want to. Lay that aside right now. And we are going to go ahead and stamp our wreath on our little berries. Get organized here. Okay, so this is the little trick that I want to tell you. Otherwise, your berries may not show. So if you notice the wreath and see that little notch on the left, if you place that kind of on the left, that's the little notch that, and then you'll take your stamp, and I think when I ink it up, you can see it better. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up the stamp. All right, yes. Okay, so I'm looking for 2 clusters of leaves. So here is a cluster of leaves, but that's one single. And then here are the 2. But again, I'm going to go ahead and go around. There's some leaves here, but it's single by itself. There's another leaf over here, but they're not together. So there's only one place where you'll see there's 2 clusters of leaves. And you'll want to, I'm going to ink that up just a little bit more. So when the clusters of leaves, you're going to, again, have this over notch on the left, and you'll have this at the top. And then if you kind of line it up. So we're lining up, and as you come down, hopefully this will work. We'll see. You press down, and you can see the berries and the wreath. Otherwise, if you don't do it that way, then you're not going to be able to see the berries very well. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to move this out of the way. I don't feel like So again, that little notch is going to go to the left. So I'm just going to lay it on this grid paper. Then I'm going to ink up my stamp of the wreath. Okay, so we're looking at clusters of leaves. Okay, so on the outside, so there's 2 leaves, one cluster, or there's some more than, and then here's a cluster of leaves, and then this is 2 clusters of leaves. There's one cluster, 3 on a branch, and then there's like 4. So this is one you want to do at the top. Okay. So you're going to bring this down. I'm going to hold this right here. Okay, so I'm going to bring this and press that. And there we go. Okay, and then you can see the red berries. So if you put this little notch on the left, and then you have your clusters, and you bring it down, you can put those little berries right in between there, and then you'll be able to see the others. Okay, so I think I took too long the first time, so I wanted to show you that again. Let's go ahead and finish making our card. So I'm going to bring in our label and that twine that I cut earlier, and going to wrap this twine around twice in the second wrap. Then I'm going to make a little bow. Maybe. Try that again. Okay, I made a little knot, and we'll see if that will work a little bit easier. For some reason, twine is not as easy for me to work with as the ribbon. All right. I think I have it now. I can pull that down and tighten our little bow. All right, now I'm going to add dimensionals on the back of the wreath, so I can add the wreath to the card. Make sure we don't need the little top of the dimensionals there. Okay, then we'll add this. Set that right there. And then we will get our sentiment and put our dimensionals. We'll put 2 on our sentiment, joy to the world. And I'm going to bring in our joy and turn that over and add some glue dots. So, okay, I'm going to bring in the glue dot for the joy. And I'll just put 2, kind of hide those. That one's not very hidden, so we're going to overlap that a little bit. Bring my Take Your Pick tool in. Try to make where probably the mini ones they sent in the kit might have been better. Okay, get the bow out of the way. We'll add our joy, and of course we could have added this in any language. I'm going to make our little bow a little bit smaller. And I can snip those little tails in a little bit. And then I don't want to forget my eye that I had on the glue dot. Looks like I'm going to need some. I'll put my new package of glue dots, because that is just about over with. Okay, and then we'll bring in our sentiment, joy to the world. And place that right down here. And then I'm going to do a little trimming. And now we are ready to turn this over and add dimensionals. Again, I'll put 1 in each corner. and one in the middle. Taking the backs off. Bring in our card base. And line this up. And our card is finished. And we have this beautiful envelope. So here are the 2 cards. That we made. These are the 2 cards that you have the directions for in your kit. And what I love about the Paper Pumpkin kit is that you have, after the consumables are finished, you still have your ink to use, and you also have a stamp set that can be reused. So that is pretty awesome. So it's really worth subscribing. And this kit will come to your door every month. You can subscribe monthly. You can also prepay for 1 month or 3 months. And just, you can go to rusticbarncards.com and look across the top of the menu for Paper Pumpkin, and you can order, and it comes right to your door. If you do it every month and you decide that 1 month you don't wish to, then you can suspend it for a month or however long that you need to. Okay, let's look at some alternative cards now that we've made the 2 from our kit, and you know how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to have a base card of Cherry Cobbler cut at 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I have Whisper White, and it is cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And I have mounted Joy. And we are going to kind of make our own DSP. So I'm going to open up Cherry Cobbler. And we are just going to stamp. And I'm going to stamp off and then on. I'm going to stamp off and then on, and just kind of continue down the card. Okay. Now I clean my stamp, but if you use Cherry Cobbler or red, it will stain, but that's okay. You can still use it to stamp, so it hasn't ruined your stamp or anything. I'm going to add this wreath. This wreath is 2. It's about 2.5 across. So therefore, I am going to bring, because I don't have any circle punches larger than 2.5. I'm going to bring my layering circle dies. And this largest circle here is 3 inches in diameter. So I'm going to use that. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this out using my cut and emboss machine. Okay, I've already run it through, and here's my circle die. And then I'm going to bring in some ribbon. This is our metallic edge ribbon. You can get this in silver or gold, and I'm going to use in gold. And I've already cut off, let's see, I guess about 13 inches, maybe a little bit more than I need. And I am going to, I could leave it like this, but I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn it over in the back, and I'm going to bring in Cherry Cobbler I'm going to bring in the light because I can always darken it. And then I am just going to put some color on the ribbon and make my own Cherry Cobbler ribbon with a gold accent. So I went ahead and color the rest, let it sit for just a little bit, turn it back over, and looks like one spot right here. Okay, I think that's going to work. Okay, I'm going to lay that aside and let's put our card together. So I'm going to go ahead and layer the Whisper White on top of our base card. I was thinking this was the new one. Let me... No. I have a couple of these. Sometimes I have glue in them, but they it doesn't come out. So you need to take these caps off, which I have 2 or 3 that I need to do that with. So I can use the rest of the glue. All right, and so now I'm going to pop this up on our circle die. Took the caps off, so I'm going to add this right here. Then I am going to place this on here. And I'm putting glue here because I don't know exactly where to put it. I may, get in the wrong place. So we'll press that down. We're going to turn this over. Kind of hold it there a little bit. And I could have used some tape also. And I'm going to pop this up. And bring in our card base. And I'm going to place that kind of toward the lower edge, not in the middle. Because I'm going to add a bow up here. And then I'm going to bring in our joy. And instead of glue dots, I am going to use the fine tip glue pen. And I'm going to grab my silicone craft sheet. This works great for small pieces. Glue doesn't stick. And then I am just going to there we go. And bring in our card. And put joy. And then look for my dot of my joy. And when you can't find it, so make sure that you do know where it's at. I even looked on the floor. So I'm going to bring in like a small paper punch, And we have some extra on the gold. So we will punch out a little dot for our joy. And of course, I will find it when I don't need it. And now we're going to add the ribbon. We're going to bring this in and make a bow. All right. Make kind of 2 loops. Different ways you can make bows. I do not think I needed maybe more like 6 or 7, maybe 8 inches at the most, but at least we'll have some to add to another card. And it wants to tuck up on me. We'll get that fixed. And then pull that together. And get these the same. All right, and let me give it a haircut. Before I go any further, I'm finished with the glue, so you do want to put the cap on as soon as you can. And it has a needle on this end, so I kind of put my finger right there and kind of guide it in. And then I store this like the upright like this, whereas my liquid glue I store upside down. All right, and we can make this a little smaller if we want to, and I'm going to use a glue dot. And bring the bow to my glue dot is the easiest to do. Give it a little haircut. We are almost finished. I'm going to bring in these gold glitter enamel dots. I kind of want to focus on the gold accent. And use my, take your pick. Sometimes this pointy one kind of works better than the all right, we'll put one up here. And one down there. Okay, so here is our first alternative card. And of course, I would put a Whisper White layer inside so you can write in it also, which I haven't done yet, but I will. So let's look at another one. My next card that I'm going to make, I decided to use creme cake as the card base. And then I cut one of the cards that came in our kit. I went ahead and I cut it right down the middle, and then I went ahead and cut it in 2 inches. And I'm thinking, yes. And then I used DSP from the Gilded Autumn Specialty paper. And I chose this because it has a lot of papers that have gold in it. So I thought that would go really well with our October kit. So I kind of made the second card, I'm kind of making as a fall or an autumn card. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to my card base because I already, I think I had that sitting up too long, so we'll just use the Stampin' Seal Plus. I already then attached that 2 by 4 inch, or 2 by 5 1/4 to the DSP. And then I mounted Sending Joy. You can send joy any time of the year, I decided. And I used crumb cake. And in the layering circles, I used the 3 largest circles. I used all 3 of the 3 largest circles over here on the, with the little scallops. So the largest one, I die cut that using gold. And as you know, gold paper is like gold because it's expensive. So I decided that I would punch out a label that I will use on another card. And that way, because this won't show. And I would be able, that way I can use some of that. So then I die cut crumb cake. So that's going to layer on top. And then I went ahead and stamped in Whisper White cardstock, but I stamped in crumb cake. So let me put that together. I am going to pop this up with dimensionals. So I put 2 dimensionals, and I'm going to, okay, then I'm going to turn that over, and I'm going to add adhesive, Stampin' Seal Plus, and layer this on the gold. Then I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. And bring in our card base. And I'm just going to put that right here. I could add some gold embellishments, but there's already a lot of gold on there, so I'm going to bring in the holiday rhinestones, and these are kind of a yellowish gold, whereas the gold glitter I could use like I used on the other card, but I'm going to go ahead and I'll add an embellishment. I think I'll put that right there. And then one more. And this is our second card. Now we could add a ribbon. You could add a bow down here at the bottom of the card. But Sending Joy. And so it is an autumn card. If you want it to be a Christmas card, you could go ahead and use the gold, but maybe change it to Cherry Cobbler. Some more of a Christmas colors here on card. Okay, we have one more card. Well, I actually have 2 more cards to share with you. So my next card that I made from the kit is I used a white Whisper White for the card base, and then crumb cake for a layer and just jade. And then I use that other piece from that card that I didn't use on the other card, so I put that as the crumb cake with the gold highlights. And then I used some DSP, and this DSP is from the Forever Greenery Designer Series paper, and it is actually on sale right now. So there are some Designer Series paper that's 15% off through October 31st. Now, on that last card I showed you, I used Gilded Autumn, and that set is not on this, is not on sale. But there are, let's see, 15 different Designer Series papers that is on sale, and the Forever Greenery is what I used on this card, and it is on sale. And if you go to my shop or go to my website, Rustic Barn Cards, you can click on my shop and be able to find all of the Designer Series papers that's on sale. Remember, if your order is less than $150, please use the host code, because that helps me give you a gift. And you also get a thank you card from me and a card that you can use and send. So I decided on this card that I would use a different language. And I used the French word for peace. And then I I put two of the flowers together and popped them up on the card. So one last thing I want to do, and that is to bring in my Wink of Stella. And you want to shake that up. You can hear the little, I guess, a ball in there. Whoop, I guess it'd be good if I took, instead of, you just need I want to just pull. Okay. And then on the side here, you can push to bring the glitter down. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to try it, make sure that that it's ready to go. And I think I have plenty, probably too much. I'm just going to add some glitter on the flowers, kind of give it a little shimmer. Okay. There, carried away with that glitter, didn't I? Okay, my very last card for the alternative from the October Paper Pumpkin Kit is this Christmas card that I made. Whisper White card base. I used Cherry Cobbler for the layer, and I ran it through the Winter Snow embossing folder. And then I stamped. So I used the wreath, and I stamped that in Just Jade. And then there are little berries in your stamp set. So I used Cherry Cobbler and stamped the berries. And then I used from the layering circle dies, I used the smallest circle, and I put that right there and ran it through the die machine. Now my first attempt, you can see that I didn't have it centered, so I had to do that again. And so this is the piece that came out, so you don't really lose very much of the greenery. So you just use a little, you know, you lose a little bit, but not much. And then a lot of wreaths have bows on it, so I went ahead and so what I did, I just took a piece of the twine and attached it here, and then I took another piece of twine and went through the loop and made my bow. So that's how I made that bow. And then I stamped wishing you a very happy Christmas filled with fun and laughter. And I took one of these and I just cut it in half and then clipped off so it would be square, and then just glue this at the top and glue the other half at the bottom to give that border. And I went ahead and added some Just Jade in color dots on the card. So let's look at the cards that we made today. So we have the 2 cards that I made from the directions of the paper pumpkin kit. And then we have 4 alternatives. This was the first one that I shared with you and we put together. And then the crumb cake, more of an autumn card. Maybe Thanksgiving, sending joy. And then the next card that I used French for a piece and added some Winkestella. Just don't get, I kind of got overboard and maybe added a little bit extra there than I needed to. You have that some days. And then the last card, wishing you a very happy Christmas filled with fun and laughter. So again, trying to use as much of the product from the paper pumpkin kit to show you that you can make alternative cards. So let me know which of the alternative cards that you like the best in the comments down below. I really would appreciate that. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.